What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Wednesday. Going to have a good show. Sam is in the rest of the week. Easton, I think, made it out of Nashville. I don't know. Easton was having a ski trip with his family. He could have just stayed in Nashville, canceled the lodging, and just sled down the hill or whatever, ski down the hill, snowboard down the hill. Easton's a snowboarder, which we can react to that here in a little bit. But we're going to have a good show here this morning as Cam Ward put the Titans on notice with a pretty strong warning ahead of the NFL draft as the Titans are looking to make a decision on the quarterback at the top of the draft. If they want to take a quarterback, which quarterback, if they want to trade back. We'll also talk about trading back with the Giants as a Giants writer reporter threw out a hypothetical mock trade between the Titans and the Giants earlier in the week, and we have a chance to react to that and say yay or nay. We're also going to figure out if we like what Cam Ward did or if we don't like what Cam Ward did. And it's a Wednesday. So, Sam, that means we've got trivia here at the end of the show. So welcome in. Hope you're all good with this snow day. I got a couple inches, I think, around the Nashville area for the most part. But hope everybody's out there staying safe, staying warm, and not doing anything stupid on the roadway. So, Sam, welcome in. What's going on?
Yeah, man, I'm pumped up. This is gonna be a really good. I'm juiced for this show. I got a couple of things that I gotta get off my chest here. So we're gonna talk about one NFL comparison that I made in my head this morning, which we are going to talk about early in the show. I have not told you about that yet, so that we're going to play a little bit of a game there. And then I've got a fiery take that I'm ready to also rip off in the second half of the show. So it's going to be an electric one. If you're tuned in right now, share the show. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the share button in the bottom right corner. If you're watching on YouTube, take that YouTube link, find a Titans fan in your life, text it to them, find a group chat and text it in there. You can even repost us on the Twitter X timeline and get that out back on the feed for Titans fans to know that they have to tune into A to Z Sports. So let everybody know A to Z Sports is live. We're talking Cam Ward, the warning that he put out there for the Tennessee Titans, and we are, maybe having a little fun with draft day trades here before we kick it off. Share the show, like the show on a Wednesday morning.
Yep, let's officially welcome into A to Z Sports here live on a Wednesday. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, one of our Titans reporters for A to Z Sports.com, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports network going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also, make sure you hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. You leave us that 5-star Google review, if you will. That helps us out a lot, as do our sponsors who make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. If you're looking for a new ride, hopefully you don't total your current ride and need a new ride, but WilsonCountyHyundai.com in Lebanon is where to go. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans at php.com/ATOZ. We've got T-Dot out there keeping our state beautiful with Nobody Trashes Tennessee.com, and our friends at Bart Durham Injury Law. A crash can change your life forever. Help is just a click away at bartdurham.com. So, Sam, a lot to dive into this morning. Easton is on a trip with his family. Does it surprise you or not that Easton is a snowboarder, not a skier?
Oh. Yes.
Easton is a snowboarder.
I thought you were going to ask me if it was surprising that Easton was a snow ski board guy. I was like,
no, he snowboards.
He grew up in Brentwood, Tennessee. I feel like everybody in Brentwood is all like,
except for me. I've never been snow skiing.
Go to the ski lounge.
I've never been.
I live in Brentwood, Tennessee now, and that is the vibe that I get from Brentwood, Tennessee when I'm around here. It's like yes, let's go to the ski lodging. So and that is the vibe. I mean, Easton's like a classically trained singer. He likes everything about this guy is this guy loves to ski. So I am slightly surprised, yes, that he's snowboarding. I've done both. I found snowboarding more enjoyable, I will say.
Yeah. I can just imagine at some point this afternoon, Easton's in a ski lounge, wearing a turtleneck, sipping
Oh
on some
yeah.
type of coffee with all creamer in it.
No, you know he like is taking over karaoke at the ski
Yeah.
lodge, wearing his turtleneck, but he's
Yes.
actually performing. Easton's non-NFL persona to me is like Andy Bernard from The Office.
Yes.
Like that.
Yes. Yes, that's perfect.
That's just where I see him going whenever he's on a
Oh
trip.
God,
So
that's hilarious. All right, so now on to Cam Ward, whose persona off the field is pretty aggressive, just like it is on the field, because Cam Ward takes a shot at the Titans, maybe because Cam Ward puts the Titans on notice with what comments that came out of Adam Schefter's article yesterday, and this really started to take its rounds around the internet. Quote from Cam Ward: "You're either going to draft me or you're not. If you don't draft me, that's your fault. You've got to remember you're the same team that's got to play me for the rest of my career, and I'll remember that." So very strong words from Miami quarterback and number 1 overall pick, hopeful Cam Ward, as this came out of the Davey O'Brien Trophy situation there, the award show where he was named the top college quarterback of last year. So, Sam, when you initially saw those comments, what were your thoughts overall? Like, it just on the idea of Cam Ward going that strong on draft me or not, it's your fault. I'll just beat you the rest of my career.
he started off great.
Okay.
Draft me or not is awesome. Like having enough confidence in yourself to be like, hey man, I don't care if you draft me or not. I like that out of a quarterback for sure. You do like it does feel like a bit of a threat, does it not? Or like I used warning because warning feels a little bit softer. But there is that like, hey, I will make you pay if you don't draft me. So make sure that you draft me. And I guess we can just get right into my comp here. Do you want my comp right now?
I mean, I don't know. When we have our Cam Ward draft me or not comment question to the audience, is your comp going to need to be before or after the question? I'm fine either way.
So one thing I thought was really interesting. Let me it is what's actually in the article from NFL.com. If you go back and you read the article, which was written by Kevin Petra, senior news writer over at NFL.com, he puts the quote in there. And then a few lines further down, you see more quotes from Cam Ward talking about how he was criticized for not playing in the second half of the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Right.
Ward says, I just think we all got what we needed out of it. They seen things that they think they need to work on for this season coming up. And they also knew, what I had on the line. We feel like we're doing the best for the program and myself. I mean, it was a hard decision, especially when, some guys on our team didn't play who I thought should have played. It was also, those guys thought about their future the same way I thought about mine. And then Kevin Petra follows it up with this. When NFL teams stack their draft boards, the fact that Ward sat out of an essentially meaningless game is unlikely to strike a chord. However, his confidence and gumption in answering such questions could affect how teams view him as a leader.
Which is interesting because everything I've heard about Cam Ward as a leader is phenomenal, right? Like I heard,
sure.
I think it was Louis Riddick that talked about, and some others have said, like when he showed up in Miami, there was a different level of accountability that was being held across the roster because Cam Ward was there, which is a great trait to have, right?
Yeah, I talked to Xavier Restrepo at the Senior Bowl about Cam Ward, and Restrepo was a guy who, just kind of got called out by Cam Ward a little bit in that article, but he has a really good relationship with Ward, at least did during their time at Miami, and he talked about how exactly kind of what you said, that like the standard sort of changed for the Hurricanes once Cam Ward got there, that he came in as this established veteran, if you will, of college football. And it was 5 a.m. workouts, and Ward was leading by example, and he was the first guy in. And as he was the first guy in consistently, Restrepo started to join him, and more guys started to join him. And then you ended up having the whole team getting early workouts in and staying late for practice afterwards. Cam Ward would schedule private film study sessions, not with coaches, but that he would have with his own skill position players, his tight ends and receivers, and would schedule these sessions in the middle of the week. And he would make sure everybody was going to be there. And if you couldn't be there, Cam Ward FaceTimed you during the meeting so that you made sure that you didn't miss it, regardless of what you were doing. That's the type of guy that he was at Miami, that he kind of forced this, we are going to work hard and prepare culture, that I think makes him a really attractive leader. Right. Now,
so that's pretty badass.
All of that stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just do find it interesting, and I don't think he's necessarily wrong writing this. I don't think Kevin Petra is off the mark necessarily. When a guy answers questions with this level of gumption, some people might view it and say, that's incredibly confident. I love that. I love a quarterback that wants to prove himself and wants to make other people pay. That's great. Other people might look at it and see a little bit of overconfidence, a little bit of swagger here.
Well,
that makes them uncomfortable.
Toph says seems immature, and that's Toph's opinion.
And that's why I think that this is why is this a national headline? Because it's objectively pretty polarizing. Like when you say something like this, some people are going to see it and say that's immature. I don't love it. Some people are going to see it and be like, hey, that's some swag. That's moxie, as James says right here. And they're going to love it a little bit more. So if you're Cam Ward, you are opening yourself up to that criticism. And let's get to our question, because I have a comparison that I want to make to everybody.
Yeah, let's get to the question first. Are Cam Ward's draft me or not comments a turn off or a turn on? So Sam, you'll put those in the chat. I will create a YouTube poll. We're going to have, I think, at least 2 YouTube polls today. So gathering data, as I like to do in the off season. Are Cam Ward's draft me or not comments a turn off or a turn on if you are in the position to potentially draft him? So we'll get to your opinions on that, and I'll put up the YouTube poll. But I want to tell you guys about our friends at Bart Durham Injury Law. If you're in the Nashville area, the mid-state area, or even southern Kentucky, there's snow all over the ground and probably on the streets. And there could be ice on the streets as well. Well, you can go to bartdurham.com and read about how to drive safely in conditions like this, how to drive safely around trucks that are on the roads in conditions like this, because Bart Durham Injury Law wants to make sure that we have all the resources to equip us to stay safe on the roadways. So you really don't need Bart Durham Injury Law if you do get in a car accident, because they've been serving Nashvillians and Tennesseans across the board since 1975, when Bart Durham opened the doors to business. And now Blair Durham, his son, running the show since Bart's passing last year. They do a phenomenal job of helping you out when you're in need, because your truck wreck, your big truck wreck, or any car accident that you may have is Bart Durham Injury Law's fight for justice. They're there for you to provide you with attorneys, resources, education, and anything else that comes to getting what you deserve to be paid for all the things you go through with whatever car accident or anything else that you deal with. So Bart Durham Injury Law is where to check them out. They're also serving our community behind the scenes with their hands, helping out a lot of different people without taking or needing any credit for it. That's just me saying that because they won't say it. But check them out online at bartdurham.com.
Reminder to everybody out there watching, you got a job to do here before we continue the conversation this morning. You have to leave a like on the show. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or even Twitch. If we have a Twitch user out there, it doesn't hurt to just leave a thumbs up. It helps us out a ton. So like the show before we dive into these answers about Cam Ward. Just smash that thumbs up. Not enough likes. and we're seeing them go up.
Yeah, never enough likes, right?
Never enough. We get to never enough.
All right, Easton. We don't need the Easton stuff. Singing, right?
Great song. Shout out to The Greatest Showman.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I just put up the YouTube poll that's going out there. Are Cam Ward's draft me or not comments a turn off or a turn on? Just to throw them up there again. This is Cam Ward around the Davey O'Brien award show. You're either going to draft me or you're not. If you don't draft me, that's your fault. You've got to remember you're the same team that's got to play me for the rest of my career, and I'll remember that. So on the surface, out of the gates, this is a shot at the Titans because the Titans are currently the only team who has the chance to pass up on the Titan on Cam Ward right now.
I don't know if it's a shot, but it is a warning. It's a little bit of a threat. Like a little, it's like hey, if you're a team sitting there with a pick right now and you have a chance to pass up on me, I wouldn't do that if I were you. That is the translation.
It's a threat. It's a threat. It's the same thing that I know we both watch the Traders. We have different opinions on how we think the season of the Traders is going. But when Wes is at the round table and he says, if you vote for me and I'm still here, I'm coming for you. And now everybody's like, whoa, dude, hey, chill, man. We're just like,
yeah,
it is a threat. This is a threat from Cam Ward. So, Sam, I'll send you the chat. Turn off or turn on if you are in position to draft Cam Ward with his draft me or not comments.
Turn on from Trey, Titans Kyle, IR Hoshi. Rooney says it's turn off. Brad is on. Turn on from Javaris. On from Corey. Gotta love the confidence. American Toff says turn off. Al says turn off. We got an off from hashtag QJ. We got an on from Will. We got slight turn off from Greg. Turn on. Love the confidence from Bork. Turn on from Huss
Terrell.
I was wondering if there was like a full name double entendre meaning here, but there is not, at least that I can tell. Karen says turn on. Lee says turn on. LC says turn on. Curtis says indifferent because he still prefers Sanders. I agree.
But answer the question here, Curtis.
Yeah,
you could have the
Richie says to Miss Amy it will be a turn off.
That's an interesting follow-up.
Interesting follow-up for sure. Let's see. We got it's a nothing. He's just selling himself. John says it's a turn off. Let's see. We got a turn on from Caleb Meadows. And B says off. It tells me that he doesn't know that he's average. Maybe not put the work in. Let's see. Turn on. Love the attitude. We got turn on. It's nice to see a player have confidence, especially when it's a player that I want.
All right, so
Patty says it's a turn off. This is why we had the conversation. I mean, we are down the middle here, relatively. I think on whether we love it or hate it.
The YouTube poll is only 3 minutes old, so I'll let it continue. But we are very, very close to 50-50 if you have not voted yet on YouTube. So D. Christoffel says, reporters have been setting up this question for years in sports, saying, what do you have to say about teams that passed on you in the draft? So that's true. And this is what we don't know is, was this the situation? Like, was Cam Ward approached by a microphone or a camera or a phone and said, hey, Cam, what would you say to somebody who passes on you in the draft? And he responds with, well, it's your fault then. I'm going to beat you the rest of my career. If that's the response, then I think it matters. If this is more of an unprompted, if it's just a more generic question and not targeted and setting somebody up like that, then I think it's more of Cam Ward's natural bravado that he's carrying around, right? So I always say it is very, very important in press conference situations or when we hear coaches or players or anybody quoted, it's were they asked the question specifically about that that leads them to bring that up. Because if you ask a football coach, hey, coach, what is your weakness? And they answer it honestly, you should not punish them for answering something honestly when they're directly asked that same question, right? So I do agree with that comment from D. Christoffel there, but Sam, I'll let you kind of take over here.
Well, there's something that I want to say here. I'm hoping the chat hasn't spoiled it for you yet, Austin.
I don't think so.
So don't look at the chat. All right, let's play a game here.
Okay. Chat's hidden.
Quote. Who said this quote?
Okay.
blank mistakes were made ahead of me. And I will make sure over the next decade or so that they will all know they made a huge mistake.
I think the chat might have accidentally spoiled it from me. That is a quarterback that was drafted in the first round in the 2018 draft. Was that Josh Rosen?
That is Josh Rosen talking about Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield and
Sam
Darnold being drafted in front of him. Uh-oh. Josh was
the results are in.
Josh was a little wrong on this one.
Did Josh, so he said a decade. Did Josh Rosen play 10 games in his NFL career?
Let's see.
Well, not 10 years. Did he play 10 games?
Yeah, he played in 24 games actually. He started 13 games as a rookie for the Cardinals.
Really? I did not know that.
Went 3-10. And then
was bad enough for them to draft Kyler Murray number 1 overall.
Well, he was with Miami in year 2. So right, he was a guy drafted in the top 10 was on another team in year 2 of his NFL career. He was that bad.
I will say, like, Josh Rosen was presented a very unique circumstance with how the rookie year went. And so, yes, that's a very strong comment, but how that transpired is not all his fault.
No,
he wasn't good, but he wasn't like as bad as it played out to be. He got a very quick leash.
My only point for pointing that out is that is a comment in my eyes, and I feel the same way about Cam Ward here. It can only hurt you. Like I don't like you have everything to kind of lose from a comment like this, where if it's not working out, it will be held over your head forever. Where we are now 7 years later, and we still all remember when Josh Rosen said that dumb thing. And the more Baker Mayfield achieves, the more Josh Allen achieves, the better Sam Darnold looks on the cusp of a $150 million contract. The more that we will look back and be like, wow, Josh Rosen was really just firing off threats when he was clearly the worst guy here.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't affect his ability to quarterback whatsoever. And if Josh Rosen had been the best quarterback of that class, we would have given those teams crap for passing on him regardless.
Hey,
Patrick Mahomes did not need to. He said some stuff in hindsight, looking back. But when Patrick Mahomes was drafted 10th overall, he didn't need to be like, hey, Chicago Bears, I'm going to remember that, and I'm going to come after you and make you regret it for a decade. He let his play make the Bears regret it. And now every time Patrick Mahomes plays in Chicago, we get the graphic of Mitch Trubisky instead of Pat Mahomes. And it's because his play did the talking for him. And so I do think there's
Titans Kyle brings up the Amon-Ra St. Brown approach, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown was like, I think he has the list of like 14 receivers drafted ahead of him in that class, and Dez Fitzpatrick, the Titans' 4th round draft pick, who they traded up to get ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown, is the worst offender of those 14 receivers. And he holds that against them. And that's every team. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown knows that even the Lions passed on him multiple times before they got him. So every team doubted him a little bit. So I think I don't hate the idea of holding this against people. I think this is a different one because Cam Ward's doing this months before the draft.
True.
And it's over 2 months before the draft. The draft is April 24th. It is February 19th. There's a long way to go. Right?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I wanted to get back to the poll because for me, it's a slight turn off because I don't like, I know Cam Ward's confident, but the threat of like, do you need to say that? Or like you trying to do too much? And I like Cam Ward and for what I've heard of him as a person, but like, I don't think Shedeur Sanders feels the need to say this. Like there's two types of confidence. There's the confidence where you say this because you don't care because you're confident in yourself. And then there's the type of the confidence where you're so confident you don't feel like you need to say this right? So Shedeur Sanders is I don't need to say this. I don't need to do anything. Like, I'm just going to go out there and do my thing because I know what I can do. Or Cam Ward's, and somebody said this earlier in the show. Toff said probably the same thing he said in high school to each college team. And I do think it's fair to bring up Cam Ward's past, that he was a zero recruit who had to go play in NAIA or FCS level and build his way up to the Pac-12, to build his way up to Miami, and it took him 5 years to do that. So he has been doubted his entire life, his entire post-high school life as a prospect. And so I get that that's
is there
part
a better,
of who he is too.
Is there a better example of quiet confidence than Jalen Hurts, who everybody passed on? So many teams doubted. He was benched at Alabama and was sentenced to, finding a new college team. And I don't remember, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I don't remember Jalen Hurts ever having a comment of, I'm going to make Alabama regret that. I'm going to prove all these NFL teams that made me a second-round pick wrong. No. It's the old Teddy Roosevelt quote, Austin. Speak softly and carry a big stick. You just have to, sometimes the best confidence is that quiet, I know what I'm about sort of confidence, and I know that I'm going to get it done. How similar is this to you, to a wide receiver? Because this is one of my pet peeves with receivers as well. That's always like, I want the ball. I want the ball. Like, because it does remind me of that. For every guy that you see out there that's like, I need to be targeted more, even when their team is winning games, you have people who try to justify it and say, well, I want my wide receivers to always want the ball. That's exactly the mentality you want.
I mean, I do want my wide receivers to want the ball because they believe that I also want my best scorers in basketball to want the ball because they think it's the best way for the team to win. If they have that type of confidence, I get it can be toxic at times and it doesn't need to cross that line. But I think it's with the Cam Ward comment, like, anybody can say this right now, right? Anybody can say what Cam Ward said right now because there is nothing to hold them to it. Like they can say this now and we won't have the results for many months on if they were right or if they were wrong. And so I don't care about it right now because it's easy to be said.
I lean towards your way of thinking as well. I think this is, if anything, it's a slight turn off, and it is slight, right? It doesn't make me like out on Cam Ward's leadership ability or character at all. But I will say, like, everyone has motivation. You know what I mean? You should have motivation. You shouldn't need like to be able to be like, oh, they passed on me, now I'm extra motivated. Like if you're like, oh, he's motivated to prove those teams wrong, I like that. I don't care about that. You pointed out Amon-Ra St. Brown. I've always found the Amon-Ra St. Brown thing corny as hell. Like I hate it.
Yeah,
like the fact that he can remember everybody. So can Tom Brady. So can most of the guys that
we've seen this movie before. We've seen this E60 segment with Tom Rinaldi.
Right. And when the guy's good and he's a good player, you're like, wow, that's the coolest thing ever. But I bet you Des Fitzpatrick had a name of the 17 guys that were drafted in front of him. Well,
13.
However many it was, right?
Well, Amon-Ra had 14. Des has 13.
He's Des Fitzpatrick, the 13 wide receivers drafted in front of me. I'm gonna make them all pay. No, you're not. We don't care. And you should have the motivation and the confidence regardless. It's something that doesn't need to be said. Like you said, I don't think a guy like Shedeur Sanders feels the need to say something like this earlier in the draft. My favorite type of confidence is that Jalen Hurts confidence. It's that hey, Jalen, what do you say to the people that don't think you're capable? Okay. Like it's just like there's something about that is so swaggy, so confident, so cool, calm, and collected that I like that a lot more than the talking.
It kind of makes you, when somebody says that, it kind of makes you go like, is this guy like a serial killer? Like,
Yeah.
like I've got like all right, this guy's a little cold, and that's kind of it's scary.
And like I hate that I'm drawing 8 billion comparisons on this one quote, but like there is something that's a little Will Levis-y to this as well, in the sense of like how Will Levis is he's a performative guy because he's a competitor and he's got juice, and you can love that, right? And you can love the fire. And I've always admired the competitive fire that Will Levis has. When you play bad, it looks bad.
Yeah.
When you're making these memes and you're doing like if Will Levis was having an unreal sophomore campaign and the Titans were on the way to the playoffs and he dropped an 80-yard dime to Calvin Ridley and he's doing money. Yeah. It's viral and it's the coolest thing ever. And people are like, Will Levis swag. When you're not doing well, you open up the door to get made fun of slightly.
Yeah. And so Andre says, wait, no, wrong comment. Anthony says, why is confidence such a threat to y'all? Confidence is not a threat to me. Again, I'm not anti-Cam Ward.
I think at least from my experiences of what I've seen in an NFL locker room before, the most confident players usually are the quietest players.
Yes, they don't need to do anything.
Like, I'll say this because this is a personal vendetta of mine at this point. Like, no, I think AJ Brown is. I don't think he's confident. I think he's insecure.
You think he needs to do things to qualify so he can qualify himself as confident?
I think he's insecure. I think he needs to go out there and he needs to talk a big game because it's what makes him feel good about himself, and it's what exudes confidence for a guy that probably is upset about the fact.
So I think
admittedly pissed that they won the Super Bowl because he didn't get enough targets. He said, "I'm over this ring thing. I need the ball." That was AJ.
I don't know.
That is quite literally what he posted on Instagram. He's like, "Yeah, we won the Super Bowl, and I got to be honest, guys, I don't really care. I want targets."
I think he said he wants more. Like he wants to go out there and win again.
He basically
I think that's what he meant.
He said he doesn't want to win. He said I want to dominate the game. I want more targets. He's like, it really doesn't match the high of when I just dominate a game. But a perfect example of this is DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, the first moment that I talked to him in the Titans locker room, he was quiet, but you could tell there was a little bit of like an attitude in there where
eerie.
Like this eerie feeling that I was like, ooh, that guy's got something. That guy's got.
Honestly, I don't know if D-Hop, I don't know if he has the confidence that he exudes.
He does.
I don't know because he's always online tweeting. Him and AJ, I don't think are that dissimilar. So, all right,
no.
We're about to go down a rabbit hole tangent that's going to be not productive.
To me, you get the feeling off of a player.
I think
when you know, like, oh, this guy knows what's up. I think
there's so many different types of personalities that it's hard to box. Like I think AJ Brown is a confident person. I think he exudes his confidence in different ways. Like I said, there's two ways of confidence. There's the loud confidence that we're talking about with Cam Ward, and there's the quiet confidence that we're talking about that Shedeur Sanders usually does. There's the look good, feel good, play good, right? That's a Deion Sanders coined phrase. Look good, feel good, play good. And Deion's the most confident person in the world.
When I think about, that's true.
That
is true. I'll give you credit I'll give you credit with Deion because Deion is an example of incredibly confident, incredibly successful, good at everything he does, and he's loud about it. I think my preferred, for me personally, like I look at some of the better players in the league, and I look at I think both Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are incredibly, like, they have a humble confidence to them that I like a lot. I think, I look at Derrick Henry, one of the quiet, confident guys. Saquon Barkley, quiet, confident, dominant player. He lets his play talk for
now
him.
I'll say this. Here's another Titan that was not quiet confident, but was very confident. Delaney Walker and Jarrell Casey.
Yeah.
Delaney Walker was a loud, confident guy because he knew the role that he had to play in that situation. So I think that's where we're here. Cam Ward had to be the loud, confident guy at Miami because he comes into the situation and has to just reset the accountability factor of that organization to be able to go compete for a playoff spot. So I think that's what Cam Ward had to do at Miami. That's what he's had to do his entire life, growing up at FCS level, then going up to FBS at Washington State. Now he's gotten himself into the first overall draft pick conversation. So I think it's worked for him. So I'm going to go to the YouTube poll so we can keep on moving because I know you have a comp. Have you done your comp yet?
No, I mean, it was the reminder of the Josh Rosen comment that I think is an example of why this exact thing could not work out. Now, I will say this to Cam Ward's credit. I like the fact that he's doing this now and instead of in hindsight, because that's the thing that I hate about Patrick Mahomes. That's the thing that drives me nuts is he's Mr. Hindsight. He's Mr.
I hate Mr. Hindsight.
Dude, it's that like, well, yeah, when I was drafted 10th overall, I knew I would make everybody pay. It's like you can say that now that you've won, and the people are like, oh, that's so sick. Like he was taking notes. He took that personally. Okay. You know, I do appreciate a guy calling his shot early on because at least you're taking a little bit of risk here.
Yeah, for sure. So Debata says Sam prefers quiet confidence. That's okay. That doesn't mean a player being vocal lacks the confidence. Ward has a chip on his shoulder and he likes it. And I think that's fair too. Which here, this is a great poll. Why? Because are Cam Ward's draft me or not comments a turn off or a turn on? 54% say turn on, 46% say turn off. So it's pretty split. Like it. So this is a polarizing comment from Cam Ward. And I really do feel like in the follow-up question that was mentioned earlier, how does Amy Adams Strunk feel about this? I don't think Brian Callahan or Mike Borgonzi or Chad Brinker probably give two bleeps about it because they deal with players all the time that have different backgrounds, different styles, different leadership qualities, all that kind of stuff. But how does the owner feel about this, about the loud confidence of putting a target on his back or now a target on the Titans' back for the decision they have to make?
So controversial maybe opinion here. I think Amy loves it.
Okay.
I think Amy would like this. And Amy is no stranger to having people do this exact thing. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons was this way, kind of in a different tone, but Jeffrey Simmons' big thing was, I'm going to prove you right. I'm going to prove you right. And I think Amy really bought into that. Like
Amy and Jeff bought into each other in a really like wholesome way.
Absolutely.
Like, for real. Yeah.
And Jeff was really giving off this like, Amy, you're taking a chance on me. I'm going to prove you right kind of a thing. And you know, he's lived up to his end of the bargain. Let me tell you why I think Amy loves this though. The only thing that controls Amy Adams Strunk more than like overall else, she is petrified of regret. She is petrified of looking back and being like, oh, we messed it up. And I think AJ triggers that in her. Yeah. I think AJ rattles Amy when she sees AJ having success and there's a ton of like woulda, coulda, shoulda that, you know, they dropped the ball. And there's something about this comment from Cam Ward that I think could trigger something in Amy to be like, I don't want to look back and realize we could have taken Cam and Cam said, don't pass on me. And we passed on Cam and now we live to regret it. So I think she might love this more than she hates it.
I agree with you. I do think she loves this. And I also love your reasoning behind it. So I'm in double down on that take overall. All right there. All right, let's flip. Wait, we do have a couple super chats I'm going to get to about this. And then we're going to talk about a Giants-Titans trade proposal, which I think is fascinating because the Titans are still open for business on potentially trading the number one overall pick. But with the Giants, that would leave the Titans at 3rd, which means they could still potentially pick the other quarterback that doesn't go number 1 to the Giants. At number 3, if the Browns go elsewhere. But we'll get to some super chats on this Cam Ward conversation here in a second. But the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should turn for all injury needs that you have in life. Like, it's icy out there, it's snowy, injury rate up during these times. Make sure you stay safe. I always say the trick is keeping your feet underneath your hips. If you keep your feet underneath your hips, you're less likely to slip. You're less likely to pull a groin, less likely to break a wrist when you brace yourself when you fall. Make sure you keep your feet underneath your hips so you can avoid going to the Bone and Joint Institute. But if you need them for whatever life throws at you from an injury standpoint, whether it's life, whether it's maybe a rec sports injury, hopefully your son or daughter doesn't get hurt playing youth sports, but they can take care of them as well at the Bone and Joint Institute in Franklin off I-65 and Highway 96, next door to Williams Medical Center, online boneandjointtn.org.
Homework for the chat. You got to go to Google, leave a 5-star Google review. That's right. The honorary Luman Google review segment of the show. Go ahead and leave a 5-star Google review. Help out A to Z Sports a ton. It absolutely goes a very long way. So if you could do that this morning as you watch the show and tune into the show, it would be greatly appreciated. Just go to Google, leave a 5-star review.
Yep. I just ended the poll of is the Cam Ward draft me or not comment a turn off or turn on? Officially 55% turn on, 45% turn off. So pretty close right there overall. We'll get to a couple super chats, and then we'll get to this Giants-Titans mock draft trade here in a second. But Noah super chat says he's a turn off on this because it feels like a ploy to boost stock because Shedeur has been more and more favored versus Cam recently. So
I have felt this shift as well.
Okay.
And I don't know if I love it or hate it because I've been the Shedeur Sanders guy. I've been dying on that hill. I will continue to prefer Sanders to Ward, especially for the Tennessee Titans. And I think I was sort of on an island when I first, made that opinion. No.
What, Shedeur over Cam?
Yeah.
I was definitely, I think Easton and I were also in your tribe on that island.
I think it was pretty unpopular when there's a reason that we had to do an entire show, Austin, where I laid out the argument for why Shedeur Sanders over Cam made sense. I think more people have started to shift that direction. So I agree with that idea. Is it a ploy to boost stock? I don't know about that, but maybe it is a reaction to the shift in the vibe that, maybe Cam is feeling this feeling like more people are higher on Shedeur Sanders.
I don't know. They both work out together. As we know, they're friends.
It really is interesting. Dion runs the draft, man, because he's got Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, and Shedeur Sanders that all work out together and are like Dion prodigies.
Yeah. Abdul Carter was just not quite born close enough to Dion. So Jay Pruitt comes in with a couple super chats here and says Shedeur was asked the same question about holding a grudge if teams pass on him, and he basically said it doesn't matter if he's number one and that he's more about fit for him. Is that
great
correct?
Answer.
I didn't see that because
if you did say that, it's a great answer.
Yeah, and again, that's the different types of confidence that these two quarterbacks have. It's just what's your preference because they're also different quarterbacks stylistically. Shedeur is a system fit, on timing, in structure type of player. Cam Ward is, create on your own, find your own shot, but a little risky type of player too.
But he also Shedeur is the same guy that was joking about how he's not going to go first overall. Like he was with Cam Ward and they were working out together in a video. And I want to say, Shedeur made some comment, whatever, joking back and forth. Cam Ward made a comment back about how he's like, I'm going to go first overall, not you, to Shedeur. And then Shedeur looked at him and he was like, hey, let's be real. It's going to be Travis. He doesn't seem super vexed by this idea that he has to go number one, which for me, makes me want him to go number one even more. Like, the guy who doesn't want it is the most. Oh, have you ever seen Gladiator?
A long time ago, yes.
Oh, dude, there's a scene in Gladiator. It's been a bit. There is a scene in Gladiator where Marcus Aurelius calls upon Maximus to name him the next emperor of Rome. And he says, Maximus, will you accept the duty that I've placed upon you? And Maximus responds with all my heart, no. And Marcus Aurelius says, which is exactly why it must be you. And I'm like, that is how I feel about Shedeur Sanders. Is the like, he's like, it's gonna be Travis Hunter. I'm like, that's exactly why it needs to be Shedeur.
Hilarious. That's funny. Donald is very entertained this morning.
Are you not entertained?
All right, so let's get to this Titans-Giants mock trade. And this creates another YouTube poll that I will put up here momentarily. But Jordan Ronan from ESPN put this out on Twitter Monday, I believe it was. Would you trade? And he's the Giants reporter, right? So he is putting this from the Giants perspective. So we're going to obviously talk about it from a Titans perspective.
Yeah.
Would you trade for the Giants, number 3, a third-round pick this year, 65, and a third-round pick in next draft to the Titans for the number 1 overall pick? So that is the trade that he put out. So we're going to ask this from a Titans perspective. Would you take that mock draft trade from the Giants if you're the Titans? So this year's third, so pick swap at the top, you move back 2 spots for 2 third-round picks, and that is it. 65 overall and an unknown third-round pick in 2026. I'm going to put up a YouTube poll. I kind of have an idea of how it's going to go. I'll send you the chat, Sam, just so you can go ahead and get some people involved here. So it's a yes or no. Would you take this trade? What do you see?
Well, it's unanimous up to this point. We see not enough. Hell to the no. Insanely bad for the Titans. No. That's trash and everyone knows it. Nope. No. Like, I have not seen a single person up to this point.
I've seen one.
I'm rolling. Let's see. We got no, that's not enough. No, we need more picks. No. Corey. Yes, I would take it. Then we've got more just no's all the way down. So it is just about unanimous here. I don't need to do a YouTube poll. 99 to 1. This is going to be the answer here.
We'll see. Not quite. It's early. So votes have more weight.
We might not have 100 answers yet.
Yeah, we need 100 answers so we can see how many guesses there are. So somebody said I missed the graphic. So it is the Titans moving from 1 to 3 and picking up 2 third-round picks. This year's 65th overall and next year's third-round pick. We don't know what it would be from the Giants. So I think the hard thing with this, Sam, is that it's 2 spots you're sliding back, which is not far you're dropping. What is the value of that? Because if we go on over the cap, which uses the Fitzgerald Spielberger calculator for draft trades, you can say that the Giants are coming up for a quarterback at number 1 overall, and the Giants would have to give up so many unrealistic things for that to show the Titans won the trade. It will show the Giants win the trade if it's a first overall for a quarterback and the Giants give away basically their entire top of the draft. You have to do a lot of crazy things for the Titans to, quote, win the trade.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's realistic either. Like, I don't think it's realistic for the Giants to move up 2 spots to get whichever quarterback they want and give up a pick swap here, next year's first, and a second-round pick. Like, I don't think that's realistic.
I would agree with that.
Because I would take that from the Titans because you're dropping 2 spots.
Realistic, it's probably like where is the meat in the middle? So it's a pick swap in the first this year's second and third, and then next year's second, maybe something like that. So a 2, a 3, and a 2 plus the pick swap is more realistic. I don't know if the Giants would do that or not, but that might be like a little bit in the middle. I don't think it's realistic, like you said, for you to get a future 1.
You're just moving back only 2 spots. It's not that much.
Yeah, but 2 spots. So I guess I would not take this trade if I was the Titans.
Right.
I'll just say that. Are you in the same boat?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let me go ahead and make my declaration here. I'm calling a shot. I'm going to call my shot right now. The Titans are going to pick first overall. They're not going to trade this pick. And I feel confident saying that now. Now, if you would have asked me a few weeks ago, I probably would have told you a different answer because I think they want to trade this pick. But I think this trade offer shows you exactly why it won't happen. Because Giants fans were in the comments of this trade saying that it was too much. Because the idea of giving up all this draft capital to move up just 2 spots is not something organizations like to do, especially when you're the Giants and you have this pick and Drew Lock cost you this pick. Now you're telling me it might cost you next year's first rounder to go up 2 spots in the draft? That is absurd if you're the Giants. But if you're the Titans, it's the only thing that's worth it if you're giving up your chance at drafting a quarterback this year. I don't think the Titans would trade out of the top 4. At least I don't think they should. Because you are then passing up on the opportunity to get a premier player like an Abdul Carter or a Travis Hunter with your first round pick. And if you're the Giants, I don't think you're giving up enough to go and you're going to get a quarterback. And oh, by the way, if the Titans deem a quarterback worth it, it doesn't matter what the Giants are giving up. The only world that like the Titans would want to trade back is if they're not interested in a quarterback. So I don't see a trade happening because I don't see how it's realistic for either team. And quite frankly, if there is a trade to be done, I think Titans fans are going to be the one that's underwhelmed.
So you think it's too hard for a Titans-Giants trade to be done?
Well, I think a Titans-Giants trade's too hard. I don't think the Browns will move up. I don't think, obviously, New England would move up. And
you're looking at the Raiders and
you're looking at the Raiders at 6, but I don't see the Titans moving that far back.
Yeah, because Ann's correct. You pick 3 guarantees the Titans either Carter or Hunter or a quarterback. So like whichever quarterback's still left. So 3 is a great spot for the Titans to go back to. But what are you going to get for moving back that far? So
you're not going to get a lot for going back to 3. And here's why. Number one, all those reasons I said, the Giants giving up a lot to go up to number 1, like to jump 2 spots, doesn't feel super, worth it for them. Plus, if you're the Giants, you could always just call a bluff. Let's say you're the Giants and you've weighed the options and you're in on Cam Ward. Okay. Well, the Titans could take Shedeur Sanders. The Titans could take Abdul Carter. The Browns could take Shedeur Sanders. The Browns could take Abdul Carter. There is a reasonable feeling that you could just sit there and call their bluff and hope you get your guy if you are the New York Giants. Maybe the Giants are high on both quarterbacks, in which case you have even less reason to trade up, because if the Titans are willing, if the Giants are high on both quarterbacks, they're not moving. Here's why. If the Titans are willing to trade out of number 1, the Titans don't have conviction about a QB. If the Titans are calling you saying, hey, what do you want? And are you wanting to come up? You already know that the Titans are not sold on these QBs. And so you say, no, we're all good. You go ahead and you take Abdul Carter. We'll sit here and we'll get a quarterback.
Which is why, real quick on that, I don't think the Titans can be the one to make the call. They have to let it come to them if they're going to play that game to avoid that.
Which MB is on here. So the only way is if they feel like another team is negotiating and then they panic because they think the Browns and this other team are going to take their guy, which is why I think Sam Darnold complicates it, because if Sam Darnold goes to the Raiders, I made a video about this and the comments were not kind to me on A to Z Sports, but this is why Sam Darnold would give the Titans more incentive. If Sam Darnold signs with the Raiders, now all of a sudden, I think maybe I'm talking myself out of the video that I just made.
Well,
I actually
there's also a franchise tag situation.
I actually agree with the chat now. Hey, chat,
well,
I apologize.
Okay.
If Sam Darnold signs with the Raiders, it hurts the Titans' leverage even more. So this is the opposite opinion that I had earlier in the week.
If you were a Titans fan, you want the Vikings to franchise tag Sam Darnold.
Because yes, absolutely. You want the Vikings to franchise tag him. Will they? I don't know. If Sam Darnold signs with the Raiders, now the Raiders don't have any reason to trade up. Mm-hmm. They're not going to trade up. So there's one less team, and it's even less likely that the Titans would want to trade all the way back to like 9 or 10 overall. So it gives less incentive for the Giants to need to trade up because there's less likely another suitor out there.
Yeah. All right. I've got some precedent on a trade similar to what we're talking about because Jordan Ronan of ESPN said, would you, the Titans moving back to 3, the Giants moving up to 1 for the 3rd pick swap and 2 third-round picks in 2025 and 2026. I got some precedent on a somewhat similar trade that, Sam, you're familiar with. But first, T-Dot is out there trying to keep our state beautiful, and there's a lot of snow and ice all over our roadways this morning. But T-Dot will be out there. They're doing a great job because I think the prep of this snow is off to a great start. So golf clap around for T-Dot out there working hard before the snowstorm came through. But they're out there also trying to keep our state beautiful by finding a solution in littering. And you can do that and help out by going to nobodytrashestennessee.com. That's nobodytrashestennessee.com to find out how you can get involved. You and your kids get involved in your community to make a difference. Save money on tickets to local events just by going to nobodytrashestennessee.com and taking a quiz. So help out T-Dot right there. Once again, nobodytrashestennessee.com.
Speaking to all my YouTube watchers out there, if you're watching on YouTube, so that's AC, that's Major Keys, it's Titans Kyle, it's Top Tier. You guys are here pretty regularly, so I'm confident that you've already done this, but go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. So let's see if there's a name that I don't recognize here all that often. AC 720, maybe you're new. Mike Bell, I don't know if you're subscribed yet. So everybody needs to go and subscribe to YouTube if you're watching on YouTube here this morning.
There you go. All right. So Sam, the precedent.
Bears moving to 2.
Yep. There you go. So
2017,
the Bears were the 3rd overall pick where the Giants are at now. They moved up to number 2 with the Niners. So they moved up 1 spot to get Mitch Trubisky to potentially block out maybe the Chiefs that were interested in a quarterback or anybody else that was moving up. The Chiefs and the Texans both moved up to get a quarterback later in the first round. But the Bears moved up 1 spot with the Niners. What the Bears got back was a 3rd rounder that year, a 4th rounder that year, and a 3rd rounder the next season. So that's more than what the Giants would be giving up to move up to the number 1 pick, 2 spots, because 2 3rd rounders, 67 overall and 65 overall, pretty close. And then you've got the 4th round pick that was thrown in too. So automatically, from what happened in 2017 that this offer is not enough from the Giants automatically from that, right?
Yeah, one thing that I think would be important to emphasize too about that deal is exactly what I was just mentioning, is the fact that the Niners were not taking a quarterback in that draft, and they had come to terms with that no matter what. Now, they did do a pretty good job of bluffing the fact that they might for a while. It kind of came out that they weren't going to take a quarterback, that they had zeroed in on Solomon Thomas. And what the Niners did really well was then make the Bears feel like somebody else was going to trade up and take a quarterback. Now, if you're the Bears in that spot, the Bears, I don't know if they were the only team interested in Mitch Trubisky in general, but certainly the thought was, I remember very well, obviously, where I was when this happened. The immediate thought was the Bears are going to get Deshaun Watson. That was the thought when they made the trade, was that they're making this move to go and get Deshaun Watson. It was sort of a surprise that it was Mitch Trubisky, but for the Bears, I guess it didn't matter. And that was the overall thought that, Chicago had afterwards, was this feeling of, well, hey, if Mitch was your guy, maybe were you dumb? Probably. You probably didn't need to make that trade. You probably could have gotten Mitch at 3rd overall. If Mitch is the guy, who cares, right? That was the feeling, is if you got the right guy and that was your guy and you did what it took to get your guy, that's okay. And they got the wrong guy, right? But if they would have made that trade and gotten Patrick Mahomes, it would have been, all hunky-dory. So what the Niners did really well was make the Bears feel like there was a potential threat that somebody else was going to come get a quarterback. Now, if you're the Bears, regardless of if you feel like this team is interested in your quarterback, you still want to make sure that you get the one that you want. And so you do give up what it takes there. Here's the reason that I say the Titans fans will be the one underwhelmed by a trade. Because if you're trading back to number 3, I think the Titans are the team that has come to terms with the fact that they're not drafting a quarterback, right? You can't trade back to number 3 if you want a quarterback. That's too big of a risk.
Yeah, the optics are weird, and there's a lot of the regret that you were talking about earlier with Amy. Yeah.
So you trade back to 3, you take Abdul Carter. Maybe if Abdul Carter's gone, maybe you trade back again.
Because, honestly, yeah.
Right. So maybe that's what you're doing, but you've basically come to terms with the fact that you're not taking a QB. Because you're not taking a QB, I think there is more incentive to just trade back and get what you can. Similar to the Niners in that spot, right? Yeah. You're like, hey, 3rd and a 4th.
2 thirds and a 4th. And the pick swap.
Right. But I'm sure and that's why people were mad at Ryan Pace at the time, was that I'm sure if you would have given them a 3rd to move back 1 spot, if you're the 49ers, you're going to say yes, because you're getting the guy that you wanted regardless. And you're adding an echelon 3rd round pick. So you have all the leverage there. If you're the team that's trading up, kind of. I think if the Giants come to the Titans and say, we'll give you a 3rd this year and a 3rd next year, and you're the Titans and you're not playing, but hey, hear me out, because if you're the Titans and you're not interested in taking a quarterback, that deal might not be what you want, right? That deal might not be as much as you think you can get, and you'll try to get as much as you can. But at the end of the day, are you going to take Abdul Carter at number 1, or are you going to trade back 2 slots and add some day 2 picks? You're going to trade back and add some day 2 picks. And so because the Titans don't have leverage in that regard, I think it is more likely to come out and be like, hey, the Titans got 2 thirds. And they're like, well, yeah, we zeroed in on Abdul Carter. That was the player that we wanted. We were able to add some draft capital. And Titans fans will probably feel like you didn't get enough to move out of the spot. I think that's more likely than you get the Giants' future 1 to move back 3 spots.
You're not your 2 spot. You're not getting a future 1. Like I think you can squeeze the Giants for more than just 2 thirds in the next 2 drafts.
I don't take this trade if I'm the Titans, but I have to qualify. The reason I don't take this trade is because I want to use the pick on a QB. I don't want to trade back.
Here's my other thought too, because there's a couple ways this could go. If you if you don't want the quarterback, then yeah, you should be open to the trade, but you can't let that be known, so to speak. So if you don't want the quarterback, and what's going to happen in free agency? When does a trade happen for the number 1 overall pick? Is it pre the Titans signing a veteran or not? And what's the plan there? Are they going to acquire Derek Carr or Matt Stafford or Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, I think it's afterwards.
There's dominoes that are right. So I think sometimes, like the Titans, John Robinson traded the number 1 overall pick right after the combine. And that's a lot of when this stuff's going to happen, which is next week, and you guys are going to be there. So here's how I think it can go. Not fixing the show too much, but the Titans at 1 can trade back to 3. I think you'd have to get the 2 thirds and probably a 2nd somewhere, whether it's this year or next year, so you can squeeze more out of the Giants and you move back to 3. Let's just play the game for a second. I know you don't like it, but let's play the game. So let's say you're doing that because you know you like Abdul Carter. This could be a situation where the Giants come up to 1, they get QB of their choice. Now, let's say the Raiders and the Jets want a quarterback too. The Browns aren't going to go quarterback. The Browns could move back out too, because that's what happened in 2016. The Rams came up to number 1. The Eagles came up to number 2 because the Titans and the other team got out. And so now you can see quarterbacks going 1-2. You're there at 3 with Abdul Carter. And you've got extra picks. Or let's say the Browns take Abdul Carter at number 2. You're sitting there at number 3, and the top quarterback is still there for you. Now you get to move back again, potentially, for the Jets or the Raiders to come up to 3 and get a quarterback. Totally. And now you're gaining and gaining and gaining, and you can use a lot. So there's a lot of things going to play, right?
But I do think it's overall, like, it's simple. Like, when it comes down to it, is these trades, and like I hope this is true. It doesn't matter what you get. It matters what you think of the prospects. It matters what you think of the quarterbacks. If you like the quarterbacks, there is nothing that you could get that is worth trading out of the spot. If you believe that one of these guys is your franchise quarterback, I don't care what you offer me. I'm picking a QB at number 1. And if you don't think either one is the answer, then trade it for a 3rd rounder straight up. Who cares? Because I'd rather have that 3rd rounder than not have that 3rd rounder. And so it really just comes down to the Titans' evaluation of the QBs. But I don't think there's this world, like if you're a Titans fan and you're operating in this world that you're going to jump back to number 3 and you're going to get the Giants' future 1 in the deal. I don't think that's a realistic path to. I think it looks, as much as this might be an ugly trade, I think it looks more like this.
I think it looks like that. It's can you get a 2nd round pick on top of it?
Yeah. But that ultimately comes down to, like, how well you can bluff the Giants. Yeah. How well can you bluff the Giants to be like, hey, we need it to be a 2 instead of a 3, or we need a 2 on top of it. Otherwise, the Raiders are calling, and maybe the Giants call your bluff. And if the Giants call your bluff, then you negotiate yourself into a bad spot. Yeah. So that is why I think it, I don't know. Right. It's a take that I'm brewing.
There you go. So there are exactly 100 votes on our poll here, and 18 people said yes, they would take that trade.
If you told me that I didn't like Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, I would also take that trade.
All right. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap this Wednesday show up with a little sports trivia here on a Wednesday. Here we go. Shout out to Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. You can win by saving money on your new ride by seeing Payne Bone and his team in Lebanon, or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Sam, are you ready for a little trivia action?
I am.
All right, here we go now. Trivia time. Let's get this going. We'll see how well we can do. We start with the NFL, and we go around the horn counterclockwise and finish with celebrity mashup. No Googling. Those are the rules. So hopefully the chat can be strong here on this Wednesday. Sam, let's get it going.
All right, here we go. NFL. After getting drafted 2nd overall, this Dolphins running back totaled over 4,800 rushing yards from 2005 to 2010.
Do you know it?
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
I think I do.
You think you do? Do you know you do?
I think I do. I don't know.
Who do you think?
I do.
I know it. I know it very strongly. Who do you think?
Ronnie Brown.
Ronnie Brown is correct. Yes. Ronnie Brown.
Geography. Quito is the capital of this South American country. Okay. Process of elimination here. I think it's Ecuador.
Ann says Ecuador.
I'm trying to run through my South American.
Isn't the equator in Ecuador?
Yeah. Well, it's in a lot of places.
But it runs through Ecuador, right?
Yes.
Equator, Ecuador, Quito, Ecuador.
I don't think that's it.
It could be. I like it. It makes so much sense. Ecuador.
I mean, I just know the countries in South America. And
I'm just doing
process of elimination here.
Hey, I think I just did everything correctly.
All right.
That way.
Clear eyes, full heart, can't lose is a mantra associated with the show that debuted on NBC in 2006.
I have never seen an episode of this show, yet I know exactly what it is.
You know what it is? Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose.
Oh, God, it's so cheesy.
Is it like This Is Us? I don't know.
No, it's a sports show, kind of.
Oh, I hate that. I don't know. Tell me.
Friday Night Lights.
Okay. I've never seen it.
I've never seen an episode of it, but I know that for a fact.
Kristen Stewart, Chris Hemsworth, and Charlize Theron starred in this 2012 fantasy action adventure film based on a fairy tale. Chris Hemsworth and Kristen Stewart.
2012 fairy tale.
Based on a fairy tale is crazy.
This is American Top says Woodsman. The Woods. Oh,
the
Snow White Woodsman.
Snow White, no.
Snow White and the Huntsman.
Oh, that's not,
Jake just says
that
Three Little
sounds
Pigs.
like. Oh no. I mean,
Woodsman.
Snow White and
the Huntsman.
Okay, you guys are all over the place, but we got there.
I can see Kristen Stewart.
Do what you want, but you're never gonna break me. Sticks and stones are never gonna shake me. Oh. Do what you want, but you're never gonna break me. Sticks and stones are never gonna shake. Take me away. I swear.
What's that song called?
Sweet Escape? No, Pocket Full of Sunshine. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you got a pocket full of sunshine.
Oh yeah. Man, you're seeing a lot on this show.
That's all right. In silver wrappers, what chocolate bars described itself before as a whipped up fluffy chocolate on chocolate taste?
Well, this is you know what this is?
No. Whipped up
Three Musketeers.
Oh, yeah, I'm not a Three Musketeers guy.
It's the number 3. There you go.
Originally a top 10 pick by Nashville, Scott Hartnell totaled over 300 points for this Eastern Conference team from 2000.
I want to say this is the Flyers.
Okay.
But I'm not fully confident on that. Oh, Top says Philly. That's good. Let's wait for another confirmation vote coming in. All right, Darius. All right, we're Philly, the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm glad I knew that one.
Yeah, look at you. Big hockey guy.
Just because it had to do with the Preds.
John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, teammates after playing together at Kentucky, John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins were teammates on this Western Conference team. I do believe I know it.
It used to be the place where players went to be forgotten, but
no, after playing together, you guys are saying Kentucky. This is an NBA team in the Western Conference.
It's the Kings, right?
It is not the Kings. John Wall did not play for the Kings.
Are you sure about that?
Yes. DeMarcus Cousins was a King. John Wall was a Wizard. They reunited in 2020 on the Houston Rockets for a year.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it was a weird, brief John Wall stint in Houston. All right.
Okay.
This is David Spade, and the inside is what's her face? I know her. She's in the Hunger Games as Alma Coin. Oh gosh,
Glenn Close?
No, it's not Glenn
Julianne
Close.
Moore?
Yes, Julianne Moore. Yes, that's exactly who it is. Thank you. Oh man, that was gonna drive me nuts. I could see her face, but did not have the name. Boom.
Hey, 542. That's okay. Nick continues the trivia. The Sacramento Kings were formerly the Kansas City Kings before moving around in 1985. Thank you, Nick.
He's the Kansas City guy. Nick's the Kansas City guy.
No, I know. It's just funny. Unprompted trivia, extra trivia. All right, guys, that is it for us on this Wednesday. We'll wrap it up here. Sam, you and I will be back tomorrow. Make sure you guys hit the like button, like the show, subscribe to the channel, 5-star Google review, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow on a Thursday. Buck is live tonight again for A to Z Sports Primetime. Content galore, A to Z Sports.com/Titans. See you guys later. Appreciate it as always.